Hey guys, I hope you're all doing really good. It's go do your own research. I've hot-footed it back here so I could do a live reading of the Blake Lively versus Baldoni 47.1 law, civil law from California hearing. Live tweeted by none other than Inner City Press. And it's already started, so let's get into what we've missed. Because I did not want to miss this. So, 27 minutes I've missed. It's the Blake Lively versus Baldoni hearing on California Civil Code Section 47.1. All rise. Judge Lehman, I'll have counsel for Miss Lively go first, as the movement. Half an hour per side. You can reserve. So a lot of people seem to be confused of why there is a hearing because they thought the case was settled. Well, this is to determine how much she's going to get for settling, whether anything at all. Judge Lehman, sorry, I just said that. Gottlieb for Blake Lively. The Wayfarer parties sent Miss Lively this court. Sorry, the Wayfarer parties sued Miss Lively. The court dismissed the lawsuit and reached the conclusion that Miss Lively was under Section 47. So there it is. No arguing about that. Judge Lehman, you are asking the court for relief. Ordinarily, you bear the burden. Do you have anything that would apply 47.1 to a fee application or for damages? Mike Gottlieb. I should have put him in the thumbnail, but I wasn't sure whether he was going to be speaking or not. Gottlieb, this is a new statutory provision. Yeah? So this is the first case, I believe, where they're using this law to decide on whether she should get damages payments and fees, lawyer fees paid. But treble damages are mandatory. The punitives under 34. Judge Lehman, you're trying to say the burden would be on Mr. Baldoni to show malice or pay triple damages? Triple compensatory damages, sorry. Yeah, compensation. The First Amendment applies to both sides. It's the same amendment, no? Gottlieb, California can make the tort of defamation available to some. Judge Lehman, the compensatory damages could far exceed the attorney's fees. You don't say. Gottlieb, it's similar to other anti-SLAPP statutes like the Nevada statute, the SDNY, and Second Circuit interpreted in the Adelson case. Here he cites Adelson versus Harris, case number bloody. was in 2018. Judge Lehman, let's assume I didn't touch malice at all. With respect to Ms. Lively, I don't think I did touch malice. Gottlieb, in California, the prevailing party is entitled to these damages. It is their burden to show it was without malice. So they're talking about this defamation suit that Baldoni filed that was dismissed. If I dismiss the complaint on 12 grounds, 12B2 grounds, if I dismiss the complaint on 12B2 grounds, that's a question. Gottlieb, this statute decided to protect a certain class. Our argument would be that the same burden shifting framework would apply. Gottlieb, we believe we have carried out burden and are eligible for punitive damages. All that remains is the calculation of damages. Judge Lehman, how do you square that with Rule 54? Gottlieb, they've waived that. Gottlieb, we asked for this in our motion to dismiss. Judge Lehman, without any jury trial? Would that comply with the 7th Amendment? Judge Lehman's asking an awful lot of questions here. I thought he was meant to know all of this. Gottlieb, that hasn't been raised here. I'd like to reserve the balance of my time. Okay. Let me refresh. Oh, there's a lot more. Ellen Garofalo this is Baldoni's attorney for Wayfarer parties. Mr. Gottlieb seems to be arguing that the 47.1 rule applies regardless of the grounds of dismissal. Judge Lehman, can't the California legislator do this? Garofalo, the only decision on this has been Evans v. Walker on March 4th, 2025. Judge, is that right? Judge Lehman, aren't you arguing that if a complaint were frivolous on many grounds, 47.1 wouldn't apply? But if it were frivolous on only one ground, 47.1 would apply. Garofalo, no. There is also the claim of damages. 47.1 is an unusual statute. It's fee shifting. Garofalo. Mr. Gottlieb argues that some anti-SLAPP statutes also provide for damages, not only fees, but those statutes provide for the presentation of evidence, even a separate lawsuit. That's not the case here. Judge, you've settled everything else. Judge Lehman, could they go apply for this in California? Garofalo, that might happen. That might happen, or that might happen. You can't get that wrong. We need to know. I'm pushing you because I have to construe this statute. Garofalo, there is no count that gives us guidance on 47.1. Judge, that's why you're here. Garofalo, there have been releases. There should not be another action. Judge. What else should I know from you? Mr. Gottlieb said damages are available through Rule 54. Garofalo. Ms. Lively represented that damages would be established by experts. There are none. Okay, so that's up to date. I think. I'm refreshing and I'm not getting anything. So that last message, Ms. Lively represented that damages would be established by experts. There are none. There are none. There are none. There are none. I don't know what they were saying in those expert reports then. Let's have a look at some of these replies. Okay, so someone said, yes, kick this to California. I imagine there's not many people following this Twitter feed that, for some unknown reason, are in favor of Blake Lively winning damages in this hearing. I also feel like inner city press isn't taking it very seriously. Only because he made a comment about one of the citations they used in their admission that was filed yesterday, because they had to write 2 pages of preparation for this hearing before 10 o'clock yesterday, which they both did. Well, 10 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock their time. Garofalo doesn't want to say it, but Lively can file this as a separate suit in California. It would be tough for her to recover there. Also, the settlement may read as precluding her from filing in any other jurisdiction. I don't know who Lawyered Up is. Not a California case, please. I must admit, I do feel a little bit like that. This has been a roller coaster. Roman Chateau, and I am here with a giant glass of, I don't know why, but I feel like that is some kind of reference to, isn't that some kind of reference to the Johnny Depp trial? Because he said it was a mega pint, a mega glass. Garofalo being a badass. Go, girl. Wait a minute. Am I getting confused? Garofalo is... No, Garofalo is for Baldoni, isn't she? Sorry. It's been a long day. I don't know why it's not refreshing. This is my worst fear. Oh, wait. Okay, that's all the replies. I thought this was going to be a 2-hour hearing, so I don't think it's over. Is it? What is the time? It's 8:12, so that means it's 3:12 in New York, right? While I'm here, I can bring up the docket. Let me double check. Yeah, so this is this is what Garofalo submitted last night. I'll put my camera back on. On behalf of Liner, Friedman, Tateman and Cooley. So yeah, I was right. I just doubt myself sometimes. Question 3, whether the burden differs where Section 47B relief is sought through Rule 54 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. So they just cite these previous lawsuits. Question 4, how does a defendant... These were the questions they were asked. Question 1, which party bears the burden of proof showing that a defendant's communication is privileged under Section 47.1? Question 2, whether that burden differs depending on whether the application is for attorney fees alone or also for treble and punitive damages. So obviously Blake Lively's team have gone for that. Question 3, whether the burden differs where section 47.1b relief is sought through Rule 54 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Question 4, how does the defendant discharge his or her burden? Oh, I lost it. How does the defendant discharge his or her burden on remedies provided by section 47.1? Garofalo answered, assuming Rule 54 applies, reasonable attorneys' fees and costs are determined by motion, with submissions establishing the amount of the fee, award, and reasonable costs. Rule 54 does not provide a procedural mechanism for the defendants to prove malice or harm caused by the defamation complaint for purposes of treble damages. Since Lively has dismissed her claims and relinquished her right to appeal, there is no mechanism for her to meet her burden for punitive and treble damages. There is no authority to support the notion that a section 47.1 motion prosecuted through Rule 54 can be used to do an end run around a plaintiff or defendant's right to a jury trial. However, should the court determine that it has the authority under Rule 54 to adjudicate factual issues in a post-dismissal proceeding, the parties can be directed to meet their respective burdens in a summary judgment-like proceeding based on the evidentiary record to determine 1. whether 47.1 applies under section 47.1c, because Lively had a reasonable basis for her complaints of sexual harassment or retaliation. This is Garofalo's words. Because Lively had a reasonable basis for her complaints of sexual harassment or retaliation. Reasonableness is generally a question of fact to be resolved by a jury. So this kind of makes sense of what I've just read out. Whether Wayfarer's defamation claim caused harm to Lively and the amount of damage to compensate for that harm. Whether there is clear and convincing evidence that Wayfarer filed its defamation claim with malice, fraud, or oppression as required by California Civil Code. Very truly yours, Ellen S. Garofalo. Let me go back to the tweets. Still doesn't look like there's anything new. Although I've done this before and then suddenly it's... Oh. Right. We've got some more. Okay. Judge Lehman. Rebuttal. I don't know what happened there. Gottlieb, 47.1. I was trying to address holes in 47 where sexual harassment plaintiffs were targeted. The legislator cannot have intended for 47.1 claims to disappear. Judge, I'm not sure how to make the statute work except as a counterclaim. Oh, gosh. I wanted to see what the reply was. You have to go right down the bottom. Okay, forget that. That was a bad idea. Judge. If the court found that there was a discoverable issue with respect to malice, it would be resolved at trial. If the court found that there was a discoverable issue with respect to malice, it would be resolved at trial. Your way would create satellite litigation. Gottlieb. They have to show that Miss Lively's CRD complaint was made with malice. They haven't. Judge. If they had put in evidence that raised a triable issue, what would the next stage be? Gottlieb. 47.1, speak of proof. You could take affidavits, but here they made no effort to meet their burden. Gottlieb. California law recognizes that judges can do this. We believe we have met the test for punitive damages. We cited statements by Mr. Friedman. We cited messages about them asking. What? We cited messages about them asking, are they crying? Are they freaking out? I'm confused. Judge, is your client damaged? Judge, harm to reputation, loss of jobs, all without a jury. Is this permitted by the US Constitution? Gottlieb, yes. There are separate anti-SLAPP lawsuits with due process protectors. Why not think of it that way? Gottlieb, 47.1 joins fees and damages. Judge, your client has the ability to end this by saying, I'm not seeking, I'm not telling you to do that. This is an interesting legal question. Gottlieb, they asked this court to apply substantive California law. Now it has to apply 47.1. Judge, under advisement. Garofalo. One more point on the 7th Amendment. This is an end run around the trial that was eliminated by the settlement. Judge, I've got your argument. Garofalo. We had Dobert motions scheduled. They've have to be reopened too. I thought they had the Dobert. I mean, there was a lot of submissions for it. What have we got here? This person here, oh no, it might have been someone else. There was someone earlier when he first tweeted it this morning, because I was on this Twitter feed from early, was like, I thought it was settled. If this is awarded to her, I will lose all faith in the justice system. Really? This is what it takes? Pretty sure this court is lying again. When has it ever happened that damages were awarded without a trial? Why not cite case law? I think that's kind of what they have done. What harm? She went to the Met Gala and Fendi event. Her bots are saying she will begin filming her new movie. So what harm did she suffer? Am I a bot? I did say she went to the Met Gala. I didn't say she began filming a new movie. But a TV and movie addict, who I know you are a troll. You are literally a troll. Just because she went to the Met Gala and the Fendi event doesn't mean she hasn't suffered a huge financial damage and loss. Her reputation, whichever way you want to frame it, has been hugely damaged by this whole process. And every time she does step out in public now, she's got hordes of you lot flooding Instagram accounts, whoever she's with accounts, magazine posts that she's done, with your trolling comments saying, oh, this is just organic. We always hated her. You weren't doing that before. You weren't doing that before. That's what they showed in their expert evidence. We don't know whether her fees have gone down. There's a lot we don't know. Probably would have come to light if we'd have had the trial. But it 100% affected her business ventures. The drinks line, which was doing well up until this all kicked off, she had partnerships lined up with a cruise liner, with a cruise ship line, and I think a grocery store and another place. And the minute they posted after the fabricated feud stories, those brands started realizing something had gone wrong, seriously wrong. No, Gottlieb, you know it's not so damn slimy. The fact they begged to settle and still trying to get her a massive payday is such BS. How do you know they begged to settle? Seriously. It didn't sound like it in the last hearing. They're living in an entirely different world. Okay. This is so weird. Tweets. Garofalo. Oh, I've read that. Okay, so that might be the last. That might be the last point. I have a feeling. Because he's put his PayPal up. And he normally does that when he's at the end of his live tweeting. Thank you for all the work you do to bring us info from in the court. Really appreciate it. That was fast. About as long as it takes to read Blake Lively's 5th awards list from start to finish. Film awards list from start to finish. The hatred. Thank you. Amazing work. I didn't think it was that amazing, but I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it, but I just get the feeling he's a little bit biased. Anyhow, we have someone in the chat. On the subject of the chat, by the way, I really apologize. I promise you, I try and look at every comment and respond to it. But for some reason, StreamYard is what I use, yeah? It doesn't show me the whole chat. So I'm missing people's comments during the live streams, and I can see them afterwards when I look on my YouTube channel. So if that's ever happened to you, I promise you I'm not ignoring you. We know there weren't any sexual harassment. There wasn't any sexual harassment. The hair care sucked before. What do you mean the hair care sucked before? It didn't. It was launched at the same time as the film came out. So we don't know what people would have thought of it before the troll farms have been let loose. And Jed Wallace literally was manipulating the Reddit posts about that hair care line. You can't tell me different. You can't tell me different. Look at the evidence that's been filed at the exhibits from Street Relations. The cruise ship and drinks were down after her interview about location share. That was all Blake. Okay, you can believe that if you want, but it just isn't logical. It just isn't a good enough argument. It was way too intense for the amount of people that actually don't like her. And the effect it has had is to put people off using her, because wherever they post anything, it just gets these constant negative comments, which I have to experience myself, you know? It's not even about her. It's about this new laws come in to protect people from not being retaliated against yet. I just don't get it. Feel love. But if you was at work and a guy, and you've signed a contract to say that if someone sexually harasses you, your contract is over, yeah, you don't have to work the job anymore, they then proceed to do it, you'd be okay with that, yeah? If you went to the bosses and said, I've asked him not to do it and he's still doing it, and they'd be like, well, nothing we can do. You'd be okay with that, because that's what this is about. Just because it's her, you think it's a different case. But if it was someone you liked, you'd have a different opinion. That's kind of how I see it. I just think that overwhelmingly the evidence in the exhibit shows how much they interfered with the public's opinion on her and her products that have clearly had a damaging effect. And it was retaliatory, because if she never filed the complaint, or if she never had the right to file the complaint, I should say, because it was obvious Justin Baldoni was paranoid she was going to do something. That's why he hired this crisis PR company, yeah? The idea that he did it to defend himself, it just doesn't make sense. Again, it doesn't make logical sense. He had a perfectly respectable PR company, publicist, one of the best. She's handled people like The Rock. You know, The Rock has got the messiest personal life stuff that he's done on sets. And she's managed to keep it all from the public eye. She's managed to keep him still getting brand deals and everything. But that wasn't good enough for him. It's obvious from a logical point of view that he went after Melissa Nathan because he wanted to go after Blake Lively. He wanted to create a smear campaign. It's just obvious when you look at the evidence. And this has nothing to do with my feelings for her, honestly. I've questioned it. I really have. I've thought to myself, could it have been? Because this is what you people do, yeah? When I say you people, on my next live stream, I'm going to talk about Jay-Z. Jay-Z done a freestyle a couple of nights ago. He brought up Tony Busby in his freestyle, can you believe it? And he's talked about, he didn't name them by name, but he talked about a few people that talk about him. Jay-Z doesn't have social media yet, but people say stuff about him. And they think they can get away with it. And he said, they make you feel like you're the crazy one. It's true. You start doubting yourself because you read it so much. As the live tweeting is over, I wanted to talk about something else. Okay. Someone posted my video, my Andy Signal video on celeb legal drama. And I'm just going to show you, yeah. Again, I made this video. I've known about Andy Signal for a long time. He's been one of the people that have led this online hatred towards Blake Lively for no other reason other than he knows he will get views and he knows he will get paid, because he's started another GoFundMe on the back of it, and he was getting hundreds of thousands of views. And if you hundreds of thousands of views, and if you look at his content now, it's gone right down. If it's not about this, so do the math. So yeah, first of all, thank you so much to who this person is, Ryan somebody. It's not Ryan Reynolds. I'm not Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Hudson 2025. Ryan Hudson 2025, yeah? Thank you for posting my video. It's on Celeb Legal Drama subreddit. It's got, let me refresh, because it's got 188 comments and 11 upvotes. Yeah, so the reason why I made this video is to show that, oh, get off. It's to show that this is how the narrative was framed by people like him. There's a whole group of them. Another group that Jay-Z went after in his freestyle was MAGA rappers. MAGA rappers. It's just an easy grift. It's like, if you go to those people and tell them what they want to hear, they'll watch, they'll believe it, and they'll donate money. We don't know why, but that's just fact. And Andy Signal has found his niche on YouTube. And so I made a video about it, and I called it Why is Andy Signal obsessed with Blake Lively? Well, I could have called it anything, but the problem with YouTube is not a problem. The thing with YouTube is, if you want people to watch your video, you have to make sure that you call it something that is going to make people watch it. So I thought that was a title that would make people watch the video. It has got a few views, but I can tell you that not everyone who's commented has watched the video, unfortunately. However, as you can see, it has created a lot of conversation. So I just thought it'd be fun to go through some of the comments. Let me drop my camera off for a minute. Okay. Why is Andy Signal obsessed with Blake Lively? YouTube video from Go Do Your Own Research. The evil popcorn planet, aka Andy Signal. Backstory and ongoing controversy along with financial fraud of his subs. This is why I made the video. He's got a long history of it. And the problem is people find out, they stop watching him. They try and tell other people that are watching him what's happened about all these things that he's done to people. And they get buried. Just like Justin Baldoni wanted to bury his negative the stories from his past, the negative stories from his past or present. You know what else I wanted to say as well? Yeah, speaking of this subreddit. So I noticed the other day they posted about Erica Girardi. Yeah, Erica Girardi. Speaking about this thing of whether the hatred for Blake Lively is organic. Erica Girardi does not have a hair care line. She brought out like clip and weave, I think. She hasn't had a successful acting career. She hasn't had a successful music career. It was completely manufactured and paid for by her husband or estranged husband, because they're not actually divorced. Victim money. Tom Girardi. The money he collected on behalf of victims that he never paid. She used that money to pay for her rather pathetic music career, to pretend that she was like a famous musician, pop star. Yeah. She did the whole thing, the fake crying on Real Housewives, tried to make up stories that he rolled his car over and got dementia because he lied about having dementia to try and get out of his trial. Yeah. The judge said, I need an independent assessment of his mental capacity. He was found to have capacity. She separated from him so she wouldn't be responsible for assets, or she wouldn't have to give up any of her assets to pay off these victims of the money that he had embezzled. Yeah. So all this has been going on since 2021, I want to say. Meanwhile, Tom Girardi has been paying off judges, paying off politicians. He's connected to Mark Garagos. He's connected to Joe Dunn, who suggested to Alexa Nicholas that she started her little Eat Predators thing. Tom Girardi is now in jail for these financial crimes. He was running his law firm, his litigation law firm, as a pyramid scheme. Yeah. I don't know why it hasn't had more coverage, but it was a very low-key story, probably because they hired Crisis PR. Meanwhile, Erica Girardi is still on Real Housewives. She's out here. She's managed to have her case dismissed, I think. However, there's some other thing going on where she used credit cards to rip off some costume designer and he is suing her. someone posts about it and it gets like 0 attention, barely a comment, maybe 3 comments or something on that celeb legal drama subreddit. Blake Lively just has to step outside of her front door, and she's the most hated woman on earth for anything she does. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that all the things that people say about Blake Lively, they don't think that about Erica Girardi. I don't get it. That's why when you come in here, I'll listen to what you're saying, but it just doesn't make sense in the real world, in the real scheme of how this has played out. She started this. How did she start it? She didn't start it. You've got your facts wrong. You need to go back and read the timeline. Justin said, in case she does something, he was like, we don't think she's going to do anything, but just in case, I want to get ahead of the story. Justin hired Melissa Nathan. Yeah, if you can't see that Justin got played by Melissa Nathan, the same way Drake, the same way Travis Scott, yeah, she hired the dream team. It's not just her he gets, he gets the whole package. He gets Friedman and he gets Jed Wallace, and he pays big money. Meanwhile, she goes to the press and creates stories about Blake Lively. That is in the evidence. So how can you say that she started it? There wasn't a feud. There wasn't a feud. It was him. He was the one that said, oh, let's put the domestic violence organization in my bio and say she hasn't even talked about helping victims of domestic violence. That wasn't her starting it. That was him. Just go and read the evidence. I'm not going to spend all day on it because I've gone over it so many times. She settled. Yeah, we know. But we don't know the exact terms of the settlement. So that's why they had a hearing today. Let me go back. Let me go back to Reddit. Right, so whoever this person is, they wrote out a synopsis of my video. And like I said, I really don't know why people come into my live chat to argue the same points that you all argue every single day. I really don't. Money. A lot of people were desperately hoping this would go to trial. So yeah, the question was, why is Andy Signor obsessed with Blake Lively? So what I showed in the video was that he inserted himself into the narrative. People are like, how could he insert himself into the narrative? Because he wasn't subpoenaed in the beginning. And then he made a big thing out of it saying, haven't I been subpoenaed? No, you haven't. You weren't on the list. So then he shows this statement, which looked like a Google Drive sent by Brian Friedman, obviously making himself look like he's in contact with Brian Friedman. So yeah, he did get subpoenaed. And then he refused to hand over his evidence and went on his YouTube channel saying, how dare they? How dare she? How dare she accuse me of being involved in this smear campaign when I've made hundreds of videos? During her movie, after It ends with us, yeah. He was saying stuff about her during the film's release. Give me 1 second. He was making videos about her during the film's release, yeah. Then last year, when her other film came out, someone's brought it up in the live chat before. I forget the name of it, but you know the one I mean. It was at SXSW. He made a video. Someone sent it to me. By the way, I do not watch his channel. I do not go into his live chat and make comments. I just made a video because I wanted to show people it's not just him that does this, but this is how they operate. This is what they're doing. They're conning you to give money to fund their lifestyles. That is all it is. I showed receipts. I showed how he started his YouTube career by, after he got fired from his job for sexual harassment, he framed that as he was falsely accused because there wasn't an investigation. That doesn't mean he wasn't falsely accused, yeah? And I was going to say amazingly, but it isn't really amazingly. But luckily for him, he got the support of other male content creators, including one with a huge following called The Quartering. The Quartering made a video in support of him, and it got hundreds of thousands of views. Then he started to get more subscribers, and he started on his fundraising journey as a victim, because people believed he was falsely accused. You can believe he was falsely accused if you want. I was just showing in this video that there wasn't any actual proof that he was falsely accused. That was just what he said. He was the only one that got to tell his side of the story. If you actually looked at the messages he showed, just like they did with the Baldoni case, they showed the text messages between Justin and Blake Lively to prove that Justin was innocent. But the text didn't match up with what they were telling us. Exactly the same with Andy Signal. The text messages he showed between the girl, and that was just one of the people, one of the women he harassed, who was a teenager, by the way, and he was a married man over 10 years older than her. He tried to make it look like everything that happened between them was consensual, because at one point when they first met up, she went along with his wants, with his, what he calls flirting. That does not give him the right to do whatever he wants forevermore. So that was what I showed in the video. I showed that a year before she came out online and spoke about it, she'd sent him an email saying, please, can you stop? You've scared me. You've threatened me. You've told me that my boyfriend is going to lose his job if I speak out about it. Her boyfriend worked for the company as well. So how would she have done that a year before? This is before Me Too even happened. He showed the email. I was just showing it in a video. It's deception. It's deceit. It's his way of framing a story. He then managed to align himself with Johnny Depp doing the same thing, made it even bigger. Right, let's go back to this. I don't know whether my glasses on or off. Let me keep them on. Okay, so in the Lively case, Signal was subpoenaed by Lively Counsel for his role in the smear and retaliation. The back and forth of the subpoena involved Signal claiming journalistic privilege, later denied by federal court, 11th Circuit, and even with the court ruling, then refusing to hand over his correspondence. And people are like, oh, he's appealing it. Do me a favor. So his followers, he's like, she's defaming me. I'm being picked on. If Justin was innocent, you could hand over the messages to prove his case. But you didn't. You used an excuse that was false, that you had journalistic privilege, which you do not, because you're not a journalist. Refusing to hand over his correspondence, over 80 pages of content with a party to the case. Content with a party to the case, aka Melissa Nathan. I don't think this ongoing legal saga has been dismissed yet in federal court, even after the dismissal of the SDNY case, and I also don't believe we ever saw a result on his appeal after his journalist privilege claim was denied. There's nothing on the docket. It's gone dead since that day when he said he was going to submit an appeal. Signal coverage of Lively case was characterized by mirroring the slot being put out by Zach, Perez Hilton, Dana, etc. Another of my live streams the other day, this is why I talk about different subjects, because these same people pop up in different spaces. So Zach, Peter, and Dana, I don't know what her second name is, are now part of the narrative surrounding the crash. They went on News Nation, I think it was, to talk about it. Really? They're helping someone who killed her boyfriend in a car crash now? But you still want to think they're in the right about this. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just pointing it out because it seems just so obvious. And some people don't realize that. And was oftentimes quite personal and focused on embellishing on the tried and true Friedman Tag Wallace narratives that folks here saw played out on Reddit and with the other paid for CCs, TikTok attorneys such as NAG and LGA, etc. He also did a live stream with when Perez Hilton went to federal court regarding his subpoena in New Vegas, right? So there's a link to the video. First comment says money. A lot of people were desperately hoping this would go to trial because that's where the real money is. Yes, there is a lot of money in promoting hate and lies. But watching this video and going back to the time when Signal was the story and how he did his videos crying, etc., it really shows him for the fraud that he is, IMO. But the video he did with fellow hate grifter Floor was all the proof I needed to see that he was clearly part of the Friedman Tag network, and I'm sad that this aspect of the case was never played out fully in SDNY, as it was probably the best example of how Friedman Tag connected with their group of content creators and TikTok attorneys. I completely agree. This is the thing. It's like you can sit there and say Justin was innocent, she started it, but we haven't actually seen proof of this. If this evidence had come to court, we really could have found out one way or the other. Unfortunately, it would have been a bloodbath and a circus as well at the same time, because that's how these people behave. It happened at the Diddy trial. We all saw the common talking points and narrative moving in lockstep for months, but the popcorn case had the proof via documents show exactly how it all worked. There were so many idiots sending him money, probably still are. I hate his voice. Voice is just as foul as he is as a human being. Disgusting grifter. Speaking of the voice, I really don't like it either. Someone makes a really good description of his voice in another comment. Disgusting grifter who has a long history of not only lying and grifting, but treating women that work with him horribly. That's what I was going to say. The reason why I even know about him is because I used to be in contact with one of his former mods. I wouldn't have barely known who he was because he's not my kind of content. I would never watch Marga content. I just wouldn't. But obviously I was aware who he was because his videos used to show up and still unfortunately do. But I probably clicked on a couple and then was like, no, not for me. But speaking to his old mod Laurie was how I found out about all the stuff that he had done. And she was into that Marga stuff. Glad his first wife took their child and fled and sued him for divorce and won. Do you like how Ryan Reynolds... See, this is what annoys me about these people. Not one person in these comments addresses anything about Andy Signal. It's just about Ryan Reynolds. Do you like how Ryan Reynolds baby talks? I don't even know anything about Ryan Reynolds yet. At the beginning of this case, if you go back and watch my first video about it, I said Ryan Reynolds is really cheesy. I showed a clip of him advertising his cocktail, the vasectomy, and I was just like, what is this? It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference what I think about him to the fact of you are all supporting the wrong person. Ryan Reynolds has not been accused of sexual harassment. If he was, can you imagine? Since it's every character has ever played, he's clearly the way he actually speaks. He didn't talk about in a baby voice in the vasectomy cocktail advert that I remember. How about when the actress in Waiting was forced to have sex with Ryan Reynolds because he chose her for the role? Well, I don't know what that's about. But again, I'm just going by a court case that has public documents. I don't know if that case has public documents, but I've never read about it, so I very much doubt if it does. It's a shame that Ryan Reynolds didn't have self-confidence. Well, you sound a little bit obsessed with Ryan Reynolds, to be fair. I have met Scarlett Johansson in real life, by the way. That's about all I've got to say about that comment. I actually wanted to get... I want to get the new comments up. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. What I wanted to do was, oh yeah, go to new. Do I want to go to new? Maybe not. Okay. Andy is a con artist. No easy force can see having their money. That's all I'm saying. Like, if you still want to watch the video and carry on watching him, great. But some people, believe it or not everyone gets it on the first time. They might have things in their mind thinking, well, there's something not quite right, but I can't put my finger on it. When you present them with this, they're like, okay, I didn't know that. No, you wouldn't know it because no one else has said it online in a video that I know of. Even after I found out about what he'd doing, at the time, there was a few other content creators at the time that were speaking about it. And even they were saying that they believed when he first came out and spoke about April that he was falsely accused. which just doesn't make sense, because why would she falsely accuse him of exactly the same thing that Jade, another girl, accused him of years and years later? Like, unless she could predict the future. But what I'm saying is, he fools a lot of people. Andy Signal, the one who refused to turn over text messages that the court ruled were material and relevant to Lively's claims. Andy Signal, the one who was accused of sexual harassment and now has built a platform attacking women. Yeah, sorry, I didn't finish what I was going to say. So when Blake Lively went to the premiere of the film she made after It Ends With Us, which I've completely forgotten the name of, she wore a dress, and someone sent me a video of Andy Signal, a clip from an Andy Signal video, a live stream he was doing with Steph, the altar nerd, which was criticizing the makeup Blake Lively had under her arm on her dress. Organic, yeah? I mean, if anyone was to pick on Andy Signal's appearance, he would cry. He would. But they don't, because there's no need to. He has to look in the mirror every day. I don't need to say anything about his appearance. His behavior shows he's a very insecure man. So then there's a link to the NBC article, which I think Kat Tenbarge wrote, but I'm not going to click on it. He sucks. My friend, I was telling about this case, when he came up, he was like, wait, wasn't he Me Too'd? As I guess he was aware of his earlier work. Also, FYI, you don't need to give receipts for donations. It helps those donating if they get audited and claim them, but charities don't need to give you anything. Of course, any legit charity would in a heartbeat, because they want the donations. In fact, seems the policy of Goodwill is to write the date and you fill in the amount, although of course you wouldn't have access to the bank records as it isn't money. I'm going to do another episode, and it's going to be focusing on his history of fundraising. He is obsessed because, like Baldoni, he was, and rightly so, accused of SH. This got 11 replies. What happened to this person? Rare forever. I was reading this earlier. Clueless. This is what I don't like about Reddit, why I don't participate on there, because people like this come into the comments and they know nothing about it, and then they just come in to argue and make you explain everything all over again, when you could have got your answers from actually watching the video. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? So the point is, what happened to innocent until proven guilty? Exactly. His victims never got the chance to prove themselves innocent either. I hate his voice. Okay, I've already read that one. And I've read that. Where's the other one about his voice? What's cyberbully Shusty Floor going to do without the ability to rake in hundreds of thousands of dollars on attacking Lively? Yeah, this is the other thing. Like, they're calling my video an attack. My video, I've made one video. It is not an attack. I'm just describing his story, because I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I'm like, if you're trying to piece together what Andy Signal has actually done. It's really, really difficult because no one has made a video consolidating his complete timeline. It's all bits here, and this person said that, and this person said this. And all the men that have made videos about him completely overlooked how he framed his original lawsuit against the company that fired him. He had the cheek to sue them and settle. He sued them saying that they had used him because of the Me Too movement and that they promoted sexual harassment in the company and that they never carried out investigations. And now he's become the scapegoat. That was his legal pleading in his lawsuit, which got settled. That sounds like he did sexual harassment. It didn't say I never did sexual harassment. It was like we were encouraged to sexually harass the fans to get the membership numbers up. And it was inevitable that Me Too was going to come knocking at their door. This is exactly what he said. I've never seen anyone make a video about it or even show the lawsuit he filed. I searched it online. It's still there. And by the way, I posted links for all my sources in the description of the video, something which none of these people that make content about Justin Baldoni ever do. So yeah, this is how many videos Shusty Floor has made. A screenshot. Yes, your image is perfection as it shows how this hate was monetized and made so much money for the CCs. They will find another victim to target. Well, like I said, some of them have already moved on to the crash. Fleur has been discredited completely as her mask as a pay-for-play operator has been torn off. She tried many times for recognition in Hollywood from her trade group. Forget the name. She worked for a TV magazine, from what I found out, but they dismissed her application. I believe she even sued them. Yeah, she sued the International Press Organization in Hollywood for racial discrimination. I think their name's something beginning with H. And they told her to get lost, basically. They said there wasn't any discrimination. She's just not a good enough journalist. She was a bottom-of-the-barrel operator to begin with, and now is relegated to the level of being a paid-for-surf of Melissa Nathan. I mean, look, Melissa Nathan, yeah, I don't say it on every video, and I should. I did another live stream about Travis Scott on Saturday or Friday. Melissa Nathan is in the business of covering up for people causing death. Okay? Literally. The Astroworld tragedy. She went and got articles taken down. They were planning a smear campaign against the victims of Astroworld. And then there was Camilla Sterling. The reason why she has her business in the first place is because she covered up the death of Camilla Sterling, which Scooter Braun's business partner, was involved in. He was in a hotel room with her when she died. He said he left before it happened. And then she went and made loads of articles saying what a great businessman and philanthropist he was. And made sure that people didn't get to hear the facts on what happened to her. But that doesn't make you a little bit suspicious that Justin could be culpable? Really? The point made in this video, I've not seen anywhere else, is Andy Signal created an online narrative that he was falsely accused as the complaints against him were never investigated. That doesn't mean they were false. Yes, it's all a grift, and he set himself up as a victim and then proceeded to Darvo, the women that had the courage to speak out against him and his unlawful behavior and his harassment. The US legal system makes it so hard as well as expensive to pursue justice. And we're seeing someone with the most expensive lawyers in the country of America, the United States of America, currently fighting for justice. And people are like, if she wins damages, I have lost my faith in the justice system. I think his victims didn't choose to go the legal route because they couldn't afford it, and so used social media posts and commentary as their way to call him out and get him to back off and leave them alone. Agreed. I mean, this happened before Me Too, so I remember Me Too. Like, I'm sure everyone remembers what they were doing online when Me Too started, because all of a sudden the timeline was being flooded with people offering their Me Too stories. This all happened at very much the same time as the article in the New York Times was published, talking about Harvey Weinstein. So it could have been, it literally was, it could have been like an organic gesture just to get their frustrations out. They might not have even wanted to take the legal route. They were frustrated because they'd gone to their boss, they'd gone to their company and said, I've been sexually harassed at work by this guy. They'd shown evidence. There was loads of them. Not just this one girl. Andy Signal used this one girl because he had the communications with her and DMs that he knew that he was going to show, like nude photos, not nude photos, but like sexy photos. Years later, he'd done the exact same thing with this girl, Jade. I did an interview with her on my channel because I didn't know anything about it. I genuinely found out in the interview. He persuaded her to take pictures and start an OnlyFans. And then when she said she didn't know what she was doing and she didn't really understand it and she wasn't sure what to do, he said, well, give me your login details and I'll start boosting it up for you. He made a file of her photos and had it on his desktop. It's obviously what he does. And then he tried to harass and bully her. He sent a private detective round, a private investigator who's been on his channel as well. The whole thing was disgusting, as Signal effectively re-victimized all his victims. Yeah, he did. And then during the Johnny Depp trial, he brought it up again because he knew that at this point he'd got this new captive audience that were obviously going to go for it. Like I said, a lot of the people that came out later and spoke about it, they had watched him during the Johnny Depp trial. That's why they started watching him, because they were on the side of Johnny Depp, having been a fan of him, because a lot of these people like are really into their movies. That's what connects them. Having seen some of the videos made by women against Signal and read some of the posted accounts of how he treated some of these women, I choose to believe the women here, as even in his crying victim videos, Signal acknowledged his past behaviour, but I'm sure for legal reasons claimed nothing he did was unlawful. It's unfortunate there was no legal action, but I do think the employer firing Signal sends a clear message as to what they thought about his behaviour in their workplace and how they didn't want him subjecting co-workers to his actions. I also think the divorce action and lack of visitation or even supervised visitation also sends a huge message as to what the true facts of the situation at the time were. I agree. I think his tears were 100% over the fact that he wasn't allowed to see his kid, and he was blaming the victims for it instead of himself. As far as the company, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they were like a big corporation, and maybe they thought it would be easier to pay him off and shut down the company, which they did shortly afterwards, than get sued by all these women. As we're going to see, someone's going to be like, why is this even posted in this place? This is a legal forum. This is very much connected and relevant to the case we're all discussing. Thank you for the breakdown. I can't bear listening to his voice. He sounds like he smokes 40 cigarettes a day and consumes way too much dairy. I thought that was so accurate because his voice is so grating. It is like raspy, and it's like screechy. It's screechy stuff. We gotta get the money, but then it's deep. It's like, she kind of summed it up pretty accurately. The man is the pits. He has zero moral compass. His own history of how he treats women is proof of that. He's as sleazy and slimy as they come, and learned early on that the sheer mention of Blake's name would bring in followers and money. Baldoni, the alleged feminist, has no issue with problematic men that have their own issues with either assaulting or harassing women speaking on his behalf. Therefore, his loyal fan base takes no issue with it either. Another point that I think I made in the video, but I've certainly said it somewhere, is that Steve Sarowitz is subscribed to Popcorn Planet, and another channel that wrote a amicus brief. She campaigns saying that the Me Too movement has gone too far. Colonel Kurtz has also made videos. In fact, she hasn't just made videos. Yeah, she's made videos fundraising to go and do first of all, to do an amicus brief, and second of all, she went and did a protest at Blake Lively's premiere at the SXSW film festival, and it was in the Daily Mail. And she's a co-collaborator with Andy Signal. They talk about Marilyn Manson being innocent together as well. If anyone comes out and criticizes her for saying that Marilyn Manson is innocent, she goes on the offense. And Steve Sarowitz is subscribed to her channel as well. Public record. The video did a solid job of summarizing his long and disgusting career. I think it was the video of him crying about being caught doing harassment on the job of multiple women and how he used his self-described victimhood to launch his latest... That wasn't a fart, that was my leg moving. To launch his latest YouTube grift that convinced me to continue to follow him, as there has to be a special place in hell for people like him. His discussion of women continues to be foul and disrespectful. It is no mystery as to why he supported both Depp and Baldoni. I just realised my camera's still off. The video also speaks of his divorce from his first wife that happened. I'm not sure if I did speak on the divorce. I think I showed a clip where Andy spoke on the divorce. I don't really go into people's personal lives. But he does in this video that I used. That's why I like to show people speaking it from their own mouths. Like, that's all I do in a lot of my videos, is I literally show people. I forgot my microphone. I literally show people, showing you who they really are. I do think it's telling that he lost access to his first child after the divorce, and yet I'm not sure if he lost access to his first child, because I think I've seen pictures of him, if it's a boy, on his holidays that he goes on paid for by his viewers. And yet managed to find someone else, got married, and had one, I believe, or two other children. I think he's got a stepdaughter. Not sure if they are his or his second wife's children. My point is that he never took any responsibility for his behavior, declared that he was a victim, and campaigned against Me Too, and has managed to lie. That's why he got support, because he campaigned against Me Too. And there's a lot of people like Alan Dershowitz that are leading these very real men's movement campaigns against Me Too. And you will wonder why they're here supporting just Baldoni. They don't care about Blake Lively. They just don't want women to get what they deserve in life. That's all it is. They want to keep women down, serving them in the kitchen, chained to the kitchen sink. That's when they'll be happy. Well, they can go out and cheat and sleep with teenagers and do whatever they're doing, and then cry about it when it comes on top. I think there are a few people more deserving of cancellation than this miscreant. But it was the disrespect he paid to a US federal judge and did not comply with the court order that showed me that he was very much a part of the Freedman crew of CCs. I do wonder how much they ended up paying him. Sadly, we will never know. I'm not too sure whether they did actually pay him, because I think, for me, one of the most telling bits of evidence was when we were shown the messages when they launched the website, the lawsuitinfo.com. And Jed said they were so excited about how many visitors it had had. And Jed said, this is how they get paid. Either way, whether they're going to report from her side, which very few people did, or not. If they go to the lawsuitinfo.com, it was clearly biased in favor of Baldoni's case, which got dismissed. Jed was saying they're all going to make money if they use our website. That's why they're going to go to it. And he was right. Because most people, that's where they got their info wrong. That's why they think it was started by Blake Lively. Some of us never went to that website, or we did, but we didn't. We could see through it, and the quality of the messages they posted on there was diabolical as well, which some of us thought maybe was by design, but it wasn't. It was actually that they were just really bad at uploading stuff. Signal asked Baldoni supporters to donate to his GoFundMe to support his It Ends With Us documentary, with Zach Peter promoting it as well. Gross. Yeah, he also went to the location house where Blake Lively lived in the movie, took a selfie outside, posted it and said, "Shall I knock?" Who does that apart from a stalker? Yes, it's gross. And my guess is that there was a profit-sharing arrangement in place between the two grifters. I so wish that YouTube had an enforceable policy about these pay-for-play operators who literally function as litigation support propagandists, then turning around and fundraising without a notice that they are being paid for by the litigation team or PR. I mean, there's definitely a real problem with what these people are using these GoFundMe websites, or how they're using them dishonestly, yeah, but it's absolutely rampant on YouTube. We were having a discussion the other night, myself and a real journalist, someone who's got a university degree in journalism, about I'm not sure what his degree is in, but he has studied at a university. He's a qualified journalist. He's qualified to call himself a journalist, unlike Andy Signal. We were talking about it the other night in a live stream and saying, you know, the problem is, how do we manage this situation without the government becoming overreaching? Because unfortunately, if the law's changed, it will never be in the favor of the people it should. It will always favor the corporations, and YouTube and the platforms that do the GoFundMes are corporations. Even the whole digital ID thing is not going to really help children become safer online. You all know that, right? It's a way for them to extract more data for people, for our security to become, for our safety online to become less secure. And there's really not much we seem to be able to do about it. It all is really just another form of promotion and PR, and YouTube does require notices about paid for promotion from creators. This grift by Zach and Signal just takes it all to a new level, and I just feel like the people watching are totally being duped about how much money is being made from them simply by watching this propaganda. Aren't there a number of creators that do the same thing? And let me just tell you right now, no. I have said this from day one. My videos about Blake Lively do not get a lot of views. You can just go and look at my channel and see what the most viewed videos are. They're way down the list. Yeah, but I chose to make videos about it anyway. I chose to do live streams about it anyway. Even if some of them have like less than 100 views, I do not care. I found it very interesting. I have had people with me that have found it very interesting as we've gone through the docket and the actual evidence to try and deconstruct what's actually gone on in this legal process, and also to find out the inner workings of the media, which a lot of y'all have missed out on by following these are you allowed to say moron anymore? You don't have to follow any CCs that you don't align with. I do not follow Andy Signal, nor have I ever done, as I already said. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have the right to speak out about what he's doing as part of the, like I said, the man's rights movement, because that's what this is about. It comes under a much bigger umbrella of the manosphere and men not wanting to lose their rights to abuse people, mainly women, but men as well. The Baldoni CCs, I told you this person wasn't very clever. The Baldoni CCs like Popcorn and Kelly and Bush and Perez and Zach and Dana and Nag and LGA were all paid and given talking points. I'm not so sure about them being paid. I know it's a possibility, but I think it's more a case of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I know that smaller creators are sometimes offered money because it's a bit less obvious. So in the case of another thing we were talking about the other night, Tory Lanez, or Tory Lanez as I call him, it was found that his dad is called, his name's Daystar Peterson? His dad, Peterson, was found to have paid Milagro Graham, a blogger who also tried to get out of any liability. She was found guilty of defaming Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah. Tory Lanez's dad went to her and offered her money and paid her money to make pro Tory Lanez content. Megan Thee Stallion sued her for defamation and won, but then she only got awarded $15,000 because the jury said that she was covered by media privilege. That's changed. The judge has now found that she's not media, new media, she called it. And she went online saying, this is a victory for new media. The court ruling has changed. She's now been found, no, you're not a journalist. You don't have privilege. But, you know, Megan Thee Stallion had great lawyers. She had Alex Spiro, I think, who represents Jay-Z. You respond to every comment. Why so angry, Ryan? Not angry at all, just won't let the BS nonsense, disinformation being spewed by the sheep and pigeons stand here as it is a never-ending slurry of sewage. I agree. When I have made videos, that wasn't worth clicking on. I try and respond to all the comments because I'm genuinely interested to see what people have to say. There's no point in shutting it out, but at the same time, let's answer some of these people. One of the biggest head scratches for me regarding Baldoni supporters is how they go so hard for really, really shitty people just because their views align. There is absolutely zero doubt Andy and Perez are shitty people. All supporters have sent them a fortune. It makes no sense. There is a CC. I saw today that Perez Hilton has started doing commentary or inserting himself into the commentary of the crash. This oh God, you know who it is. The girl that caused the crash and killed her boyfriend and his friend. She's trying to make herself famous like Gypsy Rose, and Perez Hilton has now entered the chat on that. So they're all popping up in that little space. There is a CC who supports Blake who I don't like. They seem disingenuous, very willing to partake in and spread rumor rather than sticking to facts, and kind of has a victim mentality. So I don't even watch them. I offer them no support whatsoever, even though everything they say aligns with my views. Now, I was curious as to who they were talking about here, because I've noticed that. The reason why my channel doesn't have as many views as some of these other people is my production quality is as low budget as it gets, as you can see. But that doesn't matter. The more money you spend, the more money you need to bring in. But also, I just say what I see. I read the docket. I've gone through all the documents as best I can. I've kept on top of the different narratives in the case. I've ignored the narratives coming from Team Baldoni because it's a waste of time. And what frustrated me in the very beginning of seeing other people talking about it on Reddit was the focus on those clearly fraudulent content creators that were leading these narratives there and the attention that they were giving them. I'm not going to mention any names, but that's what they focus on. So in the beginning, I was optimistically hopeful in thinking that I could perhaps connect with other people that wanted to support the truth, the reality, the genuine support of victims of harassment, abuse, etc. Didn't work out like that. I tried to explain that if you engage with those people, you'll attract troll farms and they will go after you. They will make personal comments. They will search for your family online. They will bring up pictures. They will try and say things to make you upset. They'll make personal comments. And really, if you're engaging in that kind of online behavior, you give what you get, or you get what you give. So I've really avoided it. I don't even see the need for it. Like occasionally I'll have a little dig about someone, but you know, you'd be hard pushed to find me spewing hate about anyone. So yeah, I have noticed that a few people who shall remain nameless have done their own trolling. If you troll trolls, you're going to get trolled. And then they come back and say to everyone they're being victimized. And I'm like, well, I don't want to sound like I'm victim blaming. But if you go looking up people's details, if you go spreading stuff about people's personal lives and finding out what their jobs are and that kind of thing and trying to discredit them, then yeah, you're going to get burnt online. And it sort of takes away from the, as she says here, sticking to facts and spreading rumors. Spreading rumors, yeah? So reposting screenshots on Twitter. Twitter is where it all goes down as well. That's why I do not have a Twitter account, nor do I intend on getting one. And same with TikTok. You know, I'm not really, I'm okay putting my face on here for live streams, but I'm not about to go on there and make TikToks about this stuff. Like, life is too short, really. But yeah, so I do think it's a shame that there wasn't more collaboration between the people that did care about the facts and not spreading rumors. Especially when, you know, I know I have strengths in some areas and weaknesses in others. Maybe my presentation isn't the best, but I'm trying and I'm learning, and it hasn't stopped me putting what I consider to be quality information out online. So I was hoping to collaborate with other people because obviously they have better presentation strengths than me. And I'm good at the research. So it's just a shame that didn't ever happen. But some people are obviously more focused on building their numbers and clout chasing. Anyway. There's a couple more comments I think I was going to read over. Covers a legal case of public interest obsessed with Blake. All of a sudden, Shisty is a cyberbully. It's not all of a sudden. It's not all of a sudden. It was pretty obvious from the start that's who she was. As far as covers a legal case of public interest, they're not covering a legal case of public interest. They're making obsessive content every day, spreading bullshit, spreading stuff like Ryan and Blake are getting divorced. It's over. She's got makeup on her dress. She's a bully. It's not covering a case. Like, really, if you really think that, literature, whatever, then I think you need to, I don't know, get a little bit smarter. And don't be so resistant, because when it happens to you or a friend of you or yours, when you get into a disagreement with someone and they start targeting you, or you get conned out of money, because even if it's not the creator themselves, there are people that circulate in these circles that slide into DMs and pretend to be friends with them and extract money out of them that way. Before you know it, they're asking for loans or can you donate to this cause, and people don't want to be mean and rude, so they say no. This is why I've been talking about all of this stuff. She is basically alleging he was paid by Tag. Has this been disproven? I don't think. Well, like I said, the commenter said that she thinks that they were paid directly. Personally, I'm not so sure. But again, it's not really the most important part of the video. The video is the supporters of Baldoni, the supporters of Andy Signal. They never understand the facts. They've never done any research. They simply get all their information from what they're being told by other content creators. And then they insert themselves into these forum conversations and just derail the whole conversation, because there's very, very little other than what the original poster has been focusing on about the actual content of the video, which could be actually informative to a lot of people. I know a couple of people have said, oh, I didn't know all of this. And like I said, there are all the resources on my video. Why is Andy Signal obsessed with Blake Lively? I'm not sure what I'm going to call part 2. But there is definitely going to be a part 2 for sure. I'm going to have to. I've been really busy lately and obviously focusing on lots of other different topics as well, but it will come out eventually. Anyway, I just wanted to go over that. I think that addresses it all. I mean, that obviously there was 188 comments. Oh, what? Wait, there was one more actually. Before I go, I have to give a special shout out to. Oh, this person is a troll. You know, they literally come here to just talk about Blake and Ryan. In fact, nearly every single comment, as soon as your video starts to get a certain amount, you start getting the negative comments. It'll start off like, oh, this is really good. Oh, I didn't know that. Like intelligent conversation. Then it was just loads of people saying that I was AI or Ryan Reynolds. Andy Signal as well, before this Blake Lively situation even happened, made loads of content about Ryan Reynolds. He's been obsessed with Ryan Reynolds for years because he's such a film geek, and Ryan Reynolds is in that Deadpool series. So, you know, has Ryan Reynolds ever turned around and said anything about people that are obsessed with him? No, he doesn't care. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds do not even know who Andy Signal is. I'm sure they think he's an idiot and really couldn't care less about him. However, as we've seen, he had important evidence that could have helped the case, but he refused to hand it over. This looks like a conversation about, let me see. Okay, let me just see. I'm gonna regret this. I know I am. But I don't think I've seen this before. Pursuant to local rule, undersigned counsel certifies that counsel for Popcorn Planet confirmed with counsel for respondent Blake Lively on May 26th, 2026 and May 28th, 2026 by email, and on May 27th, 2026 by telephone, in good faith effort to resolve the relief requested in this motion. I'm now starting to think that this person might be friends with Andy Signal, because really, I've been checking the docket, and this has obviously happened in the last few days. I didn't spot it. In a good faith effort to resolve the relief requested in this motion, as of the time of filing, respondent's counsel are still considering their position in the motion. Popcorn Planet will comply with local rule 3.01 by diligently attempting to contact respondent's counsel for 3 days after filing and promptly supplementing this motion with a statement certifying whether the parties have resolved all or part of the motion, dated May 29th, 2026, respectfully submitted. Well, well, well. Oh, you didn't see that? Did you see that? If only Blake Ryan would just effing drop it already, but nah. I just explained to you why. I cannot wait for the documentary. Oh my God. I've not seen this one. I cannot wait for the documentary, just like the pro-lively people can't wait for podcasts. What? What are you talking about? I am a pro-lively person, apparently. I don't know what podcast he's talking about. Milno, what documentary? His log showed nobody from the set ever responded to him, lol. Exactly. That documentary is never coming out. Those idiots paid for his vacation. This was all what I showed. Taking a page out of Baldoni's book with his GoFundMes for projects that were never made. It's not he's taken a page out of it. That's who he was already. Signal's been doing this since 2017. So has Baldoni. They're just two peas in a pod. It's really that obvious, because Baldoni did it with Travis Flores. I showed, again, before I was in communication with any other content creators, I just did all my own research and made my own videos. But one of the videos I made way back in the early days had a clip where Travis was on, I think it was like one of those Good Morning America programs. And they did a live link up with Baldoni in the studio, and Baldoni was on a yacht, and you could see in Travis's face, he was a bit freaked out by seeing Baldoni. Like, it was just a bit like, ugh, and unself-aware. And then Baldoni sort of did this thing where he was like, everyone go and donate to Travis. And the poor guy was like, it's like a form of love bombing. It's like, I'm going to be live on TV telling people to go and donate money to you. So how can you feel bad towards me? But you could just see it in his face. Maybe you have not seen his Meghan Markle documentary. It ends with us. Documentary is coming. I mean, what I've seen of that Meghan Markle documentary is him going up to people in the street by Big Ben. That isn't a documentary. That's similar to fake journalist. Oh, God. The guy we did a live stream about the other night, Tyler Oliveira. It's not a documentary. It's fiction. It's fan fiction. Parts of the interview and a trailer have been released. Yes, exactly. Which you have to become a subscriber to watch. Pay. You have to pay to watch it. A cover song has been released. Oh, God, not an AI song. That is another thing I do not approve of, is people making AI songs. Everyone is on the edge of their seats. This person cannot be serious. Sorry, but I guess you are one of the fools who are subs of Signal, as there was no documentary and there never will be. He does the documentary grift when he is actively trying to grift his subs and needs to go on vacation to pay his legal fees. By the way, there is someone in the comments of my video who is literally saying all of this. She was a fan of Andy Signal. She realizes he's been conning the audience. You can see it all for yourself. Love that Subpoenagate did not succeed in silencing independent journalists like Andy Signal and other content creators. They just refuse to see it. Let's all keep sleuthing and holding these shady entitled bullies, Blake, Ryan, accountable for their actions. It's just so weird to me that you would categorize them as bullies when you watch a literal bully. Like, I really don't know if they're genuinely taking the piss or they actually can't see it. This statement right here proves that you are the bullies. Bullies calling other bullies is really rich. I don't know. I don't know who's talking to who anymore. So he's a podcaster who covers Hollywood, but you interpret this as inserting himself by reporting on it. That's not what was meant by inserting himself. Inserting himself meant he became part of the legal process. And yeah, podcaster is being generous. I think the judge said he was a presenter on, or a host of a YouTube channel called Popcorn Planet. There is absolutely no evidence that Ryan Reynolds has had anything to do with destroying anyone. Andy Signal is far from being destroyed. I'm sure his views are down at the moment because he hasn't got any content to report on. The court reviewed the text messages Andy exchanged with Defendant 1 and Defendant 2. That's Nathan and I guess Brian Friedman. In the Baldoni Lively case, the court then ruled that the messages were relevant and material to Lively's claims. It's just the same arguments repeating over and over. Like, why do you have to keep telling them that? Someone's saying that they're Ryan Reynolds. How much did BL and RR pay you for this? Like I said, just go and look at my channel. You can see how low the views are on these videos compared to some of my other content. Proof existed. Why did Blake subpoena him and many other content creators without any proof of evidence? Seems like she's obsessed with him. Proof existed. In the case of Signal, the proof was over 80 pages of correspondence. We've already read that. Any proof of evidence? Any proof of evidence other than the hundreds of videos he's made about it, as if he had some special knowledge. He showed a document from Brian Friedman on a live stream, and Melissa Nathan called him a new bestie. This post is just an attack on a content creator. Why is it in celeb legal drama? I think I've already explained, and I don't think it's an attack. They do attacks. This is not an attack. Oh, that was the other one I wanted to read. Wonderful Kneecap gets a special shout out. He is not famous or significant, even online, but his audience thrives on hating women. One of his audience on Twitter, Misty Mo, she was in the Free Britney movement. She is a troll. She was in the Free Britney movement. You'll see the crossover. She's an Andy Signal viewer. She still supports him to this day. She doesn't support BJ Investigates. That's how I know about her. But yeah, she's also apparently married to another content creator, or with. She's tweeted about it. I'm not sure if they're still together. Typical supportive comments on YouTube or X. I'm an expert on domestic violence. My son's ex-wife got a restraining order against both of us. She's crazy. Blake Lively is a bitch. Love her comments. Yeah, I know another thing that many people claim to make them on the right side is saying that they're a survivor. I'm sorry, but a lot of the people that have came out and spoken about Andy Signal have been survivors of really bad domestic abuse. So unfortunately, those are the kind of people he wants to believe that he's on their side, but he's really not. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on my next live stream. Have a great night.